Welcome everybody. We are on a walk in the vast fields of northeast Lincolnshire. The stay-at-home order has ended and I'm going for a walk in the forest. It sounds rather dull, but if you can see the cylinder building, they are anti-aircraft weapons dating from the First World War. They were reinstalled in the Second World War and stayed until the mid-50s because of the threat the Korean War posed. Everybody forgets the Korean War. I will be showing you all around the 4 different pits that are there and telling you everything I know, including something that's quite interesting about them. There's only a handful of them and even fewer left in Britain, and I'll tell you all about it.
Hello everybody. Unfortunately my audio doesn't work on this little visit, so I will have to be your humble narrator like I always used to be in the past. These are anti-aircraft guns that were used in the Second World War. The sight was used in the First World War with smaller Mark 7 guns, which I'll put a little picture up, but nothing remains of that site. This is a HAA gun site. Over 1,000 were commissioned in England during the Second World War. The gun would have been where the tree is poking through the middle. There you go, that's one in operation in London. It's a smaller one. This little walkway that I'm on, this is where the people operating the gun would have been. We can't hear you, your audio is broke. And the little compartments that you see behind me that go all the way around, they would have been used to store ammunition, and also would have been used, they were like blast proof as well, so they were kind of twofold. Over 1,000 of these gun sites were commissioned, not these specific, but sites that would carry anti-aircraft guns. Now, this site originally was for a 3.7 inch calibre guns. Other sites would have 4.5 inch. Now, obviously these were to combat the Luftwaffe, which was dominated the early part of the Second World War. But unfortunately, that little tunnel that goes under the gun pit, and that's where all the engine room and stuff would have been. Unfortunately, the guns couldn't fire above 40,000 feet, and the Luftwaffe was incredibly successful because it could fly above 40,000 feet. So they commissioned 5.25 inch calibre guns to be built, and this is what you see. Only 15 were ever finished, and this particular site was one of the first to open. There's some on the Humber which are still there, and there's a couple in London, and I know one of the ones in Essex is one of the best preserved ones. These gun sites that were over 1,000 would employ over 275,000 people, and it would also employ women from the Auxiliary Territorial Service. Now, these guns that were on this site, they weighed 84 tons, and they were only designed to be on battleships. So building them caused, obviously, a huge problem. And that's why you see the concrete cylinders. The first version was in London, Essex actually, I think, and they didn't have the concrete cylinders and it wasn't quite effective, so that's why it was decided to build the concrete cylinders that we see. Unfortunately, they were prone to flood, which you can actually see still to this day. They are very flooded. But an interesting place to visit. It is an example of the most technological advanced gun site developed during World War II. And 15, I think I've already said, only 15 were ever finished, and only 6 survive, and this is one of them. And you can tell that nature is winning. I always think, like, this is so historical, but in England there's so much history and so much cool stuff to preserve. Things do get left behind. We still can't hear you. And this is such a fascinating place. This was Station S. That doorway is tiny, both height and width. I am a big guy. So they were all commissioned in April of 1944, the bigger versions, the 5.25 inch. The original 3.25 inch guns that were on this site, there is no evidence of those anymore. You only get the bigger version, which is what you see. Now, after the war, nearly all these sites were decommissioned. This not only being one of 15, the other ones that contained the smaller guns, which there was 200 of. Nearly half were decommissioned, but Stalingrad remained a gun battery until the 1950s. This was one of the last ones that was fully operational, and this one was decommissioned in the 1950s. Now, I've known about the existence of this place for quite a long time, and in that time quite a lot of people have posted videos up. Urban exploring is all the rage, but nobody visits. These are buildings down here that were attached to the gun site. The building we're coming to first, that's the old generator, which it looks like World War II, doesn't it? I know a lot more people know more about the subject than I do, but you can even tell that's looks World War II. And in front of it, that is the old guardhouse, the white building. They are both stables and have horses. I do have hay fever, so I had no interest in exploring any further. Behind both buildings as well, after the 1940s, so in the 1950s, they were ROC posts, which again, I have mentioned in other videos. I will do a video on ROC posts in the future. Now, I said there's nothing remaining of the 3.7 inch guns. The rubble that you walk on, that was all the 3.7 inch guns. The sunken building that you see to my right, that is the old command post. It goes underground and it has tunnels, but it's incredibly flooded. So if you do see this and want to visit, bring a snorkel if you're going in there. I do not go in there. But yeah, the rubble is all from the old gun placements that were obsolete. These two concrete buildings, these were toilets, and you will notice there is two. And as I mentioned at the start about these gun sites employing women from the Auxiliary Territorial Service, this was one of the sites that employed females. This is the old command post which goes underground. It is flooded again, and also I was doing this on a GoPro, and I know nothing about cameras, but I know GoPros don't work at night. So yeah, I think I've got all my information. I just feel like I've given you a lot of information. They are incredibly interesting. As I said, I've known, so all this concrete is probably from the original guns. They were torn down in the 70s. I'm not sure why, but they were. But the bigger guns, the 5.25 inch calibre guns, all their sights are remaining. It's incredibly small. All the videos I've seen, I thought that was a cool image. Oh, there you go. That might be the thumbnail, it might be something else, but there you go, I like that image. It was incredibly interesting to be here. If you are going to visit, you see people walking on the roof of these things. The old cabinets for the guns. Don't walk on the roofs. It is history, guys. It's very interesting. If you see the little door, you see the little door in the middle, that's where things would have been filtered into, like the guns and the ammo and everything. But yeah, it was only a quick little visit. I thought you would all enjoy it. My World War II stuff seems the stuff people are most interested in. I thank you all so much for watching. If you know, I'm sure people know more about these places than I do. If you know anything about it, just leave a little comment. I'll always get back to you. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening, and bye.